Welcome to Elle Speaks, and I know that this live was scheduled at 8:30 p.m. and I decided to log on a couple of minutes early because why not? And tonight I want to talk about Rebecca Park's sister, Kimberly Park, because Kimberly, who I had hoped was one of Rebecca's biggest cheerleaders because it was Kimberly who looked for Rebecca almost immediately. Rebecca Park was last seen at what on November 3rd, 2025. And Kimberly's sister, Kimberly, is looking for Rebecca as early as November 4th. So let me just get oriented here, and I'd like to start actually with Kimberly's probable cause affidavit because she has been charged with misleading the police, and she has told a lot, a lot of different stories. So, Kimberly, Rich Fowler was actually arrested and charged with what Michigan police call open murder. And it's amazing to me that Kimberly has told so many stories. I just dub her little Courtney at this point, the way that she lies. There we go. I'm trying to pull up the probable cause affidavit. Make sure there's no music on. Okay. So, Kimberly says that she was having an affair with Rich Fowler, who is the father of Rebecca's unborn baby, or was the father of Rebecca's unborn baby. And that just flips me out because Courtney, Rebecca's biological mother, says that she had an affair with Rich Fowler, that she, Courtney, had gotten pregnant by Rich, and Rich caused her to have a miscarriage. Who knows how true that is? I grew up with an expression, and I don't know if you all have heard it. The expression is, it be your own people. And that's what it was for poor Rebecca. She was surrounded by evil, surrounded by evil. And I'm wondering if stepdad Brad Bartholomew told the truth when he said that Kimberly was jealous of Rebecca. Now, Rebecca's probable cause affidavit is 3 pages long. Only 2 pages have information on it. The third page is just a signature page. I can't see the chat right now, but thank you all for joining me. Hi, Amaya, and please let me know if there's any problem hearing me. So, first, I want to start with you guys are welcome to enlarge that. I didn't know how to enlarge it, but this is Kimberly's probable cause affidavit. And Kimberly went down to the police station several times to talk to police. She took Rebecca's cell phone to police, and she has been charged with lying to police and obstructing the investigation. And so Kimberly told police that November 4th, she talked to Rich Fowler, and that she and Rich were having an ongoing affair, and that Rich told her, Kimberly, that he had killed Rebecca and something went wrong. Something went wrong when Rich, tried to remove the baby from Rebecca's womb. So, November 22nd, Kimmy is making statements on social media. She's live and she is putting the disappearance of her sister on her mom, Courtney, and her stepdad, Brad Bartholomew. And I say biological mom because if you've been following this case, you know that it was Stephanie Park who raised Kimberly and her sister. Well, Kimberly told detectives that her relationship with Rich Fowler was complicated by his relationship with her sister Rebecca. Are there just are there just not a lot of men in this county? Because Rich Fowler just, he doesn't come off as that sexy to me. to where sisters as close in age who were raised together, like Rebecca and Courtney, I mean, like Rebecca and Kimberly are sleeping with him, and then mom, 40-year-old Courtney, says that she slept with him. But from what Kimberly is telling detectives, it sounds like it was an ongoing affair. What did you say? Long live King Cobra, play is gonna play. I think that Rich Fowler was the hookup man. He's been charged with 2 counts of trafficking meth. So I think maybe, women thought they could get a bigger bag or they could get a free bag. Who knows? But maybe he has charisma that I just can't see. And so Rich is arrested for this murder. And to Richard Lee Fowler's credit, he had called around looking for Rebecca. Doesn't mean that a person is innocent, but he did seem to want to, know where she was. So luckily for Rich, he was able to prove to detectives through cell phone records that he was not in the area when Rebecca came up missing. So otherwise, I mean, based on Kimmy's statement, he was he was arrested and charged with Rebecca's murder. So Kimmy then told detectives that Courtney and Brad hit Rebecca over the head, knocked her out, and they drove her and dumped her body. Then she said that they hit Rebecca over the head, knocked her, it caused Rebecca to have a seizure, could not bring Rebecca back, back out of unconsciousness or back to life. And that Brad Bartholomew, one of his friends, came and picked up Rebecca's body. The question that I have is, Kimberly, why lie? And that's why I put it to Kimberly, meaning you too, Kimberly. Rebecca was not only literally stabbed in the back 6 times, Rebecca was repeatedly stabbed in the back. And I don't know if Kimmy was jealous of Rebecca and Rebecca knew that, because there are times that people will secretly compete with you. And I said before that if Kimberly was jealous of Rebecca, that kindness, I agree, she lied, Kimmy, she lies so much, but the question is, why lie? If you want your sister found, why are you lying? So Kimberly tells so many different stories. And she said that a man named Austin Nowland, Nowland, that Austin Nowland helped Richard Fowler when he killed Rebecca and tried to remove baby Park from Rebecca's womb. And according to Kimmy, it was Rich who encouraged her to lie to investigators. And that's the reason that she was on social media sharing all of this misleading information. Well, I think that on social media, she said that, she thought Courtney and Brad were behind it. Whether or not they caused Rebecca to have a seizure, I don't know. But I do believe that Michigan police, just a second. I do believe that Michigan police got it right. And before Rebecca's body is found, well, within hours of Rebecca's body being found, everybody has been arrested. And I really cannot blame Michigan police. They did a good job in this case. Kindness, you think that she might have been jealous of her sister? I don't, and I don't see why Richard Fowler would encourage her to mislead investigators. Now, I do believe that Rich felt like the search for Rebecca was making his spot hot because he was involved allegedly in drug trafficking. And he's facing a very, very, very long prison sentence for that. So, after he was charged with murder based on Kimberly's statements to Detective Sergeant Voss and Detective Sergeant Whetstone, Richard Fowler, he did what I encourage anybody to do under those circumstances. He refused to cooperate with police. At that point, especially if you're innocent of the crime that you're being accused of, get a lawyer. Don't talk without an attorney. So the police did their job. They interviewed this Austin Nowland on November 26th. This is what everybody's Thanksgiving is looking like. And Austin denied any involvement, and he showed his cell phone records that said he was out of Wexford County November 3rd or November 4th, 2025. So Nowland not only consented to the search of his cell phone, he consented to a search of his Chevrolet Malibu, which, by the way, is black in color. But he did confirm, get this, Austin Nowland said that he had previously been in a romantic relationship with both Rebecca and Kimberly. Did these sisters have this competition going on? And so police got more confrontational with Kimberly. And Kimberly, she requested an attorney. But before this, Kimberly tells a lot more lies to police. So when she went down to the police station the first time, she tells the cops that she thinks she might have a clue where Rebecca is, and she's got Rebecca's cell phone. And so this is November 5th at the Wexford County Sheriff's Office. And so she said that a woman by the name of Araya Clark had called her and said that two people in a car pulled up to the revival center looking for Narcan. Isn't Narcan something that keeps you from like wanting a particular drug? Oh, Lord is right. Holy Spirit, activate kindness. Holy Spirit, activate. Okay? Because this is just evil. I want to know why Kimberly is lying. I don't buy, I'm having an affair with Rich Fowler and he told me to mislead investigators. So, because Rich is the culprit. And then to involve this man, Austin Nowland. Can you imagine what it was like to be Austin when police show up at his door asking him about a missing woman presumed dead? And it doesn't seem like anybody panicked when Rebecca wasn't seen for 24 hours, but as soon as Michigan police got word of it, they put her on the missing and endangered list, because women 38 weeks pregnant don't just go missing, especially in the dead of winter. So so okay, and this is Kimberly's story to detectives November 5th. Araya Clark says that two people in a car pulled up to the revival center and they were looking for Narcan, and that these two people said that the pregnant woman that's missing got what she effing deserved. Now, if somebody told you that about your missing sister, I probably would have went back to my teenage days. I would have been ready to fight. I would have hemmed them up, called the police immediately. And Kimberly says, I guess it was an older that they told her, these two people who were pulled up to the revival center, that they think it was an older guy that Rebecca left with. So the detective asks Kimmy if she knows where Rebecca's at. And Kimmy says she doesn't really answer that question, but she says the only older guy that Rebecca talks to is Stephen Billet. It might be pronounced Billet, Billett. And Kimmy called Stephen Billet a pervert. So when people are lying to police and they want to mislead an investigation, they'll throw in a bunch of names. We've already got so-called a friend of Brad's who came and picked up Rebecca's body. We've got Austin Nowlin. We've got Rich Fowler that she's thrown in, and now Raya Clark. And she throws in a Raya Clark's father, Rusty. And so she says, that All she knows about this older guy, Billet, is that he's a pervert and he drives a black sedan. Remember, Courtney, bio mom, her original story was that Rebecca left with an unknown person and a black vehicle with really dark tinted windows and no license plate on the car. So, and Kimmy tells the detective, like Courtney said, Stephen Billet was contacted, wait a minute, like Courtney said, like Stephen Billet Black drives a black sedan, like Courtney said. So, raised by Stephanie Park, I can see that Kimberly at least calls Courtney by her first name. And the detectives doing their job, they get in contact with, Stephen Billet, and says it didn't appear that Billet had had any contact with Rebecca Park. So Kimberly shows Detective Lieutenant Piskor. Remember him? We mentioned him in the first live with RC. A Blue View brand Model 4 cell phone. And she says that it's Rebecca's. And on the home screen, it says Rebecca Park's cell phone. She sounds just like her biological mama with all this lying. And she's backing up Courtney's original lie that Rebecca got into a black sedan. And Kimmy says that she looked through Rebecca's phone. I don't know about you guys, but I have a code on my phone, and I know that the government can't even get past that code on an iPhone. But Kimmy says that she looked through Rebecca's phone and she saw that the last communications on the phone were from a missed video call. Clunan14 at gmail.com on October 3rd. October 3rd would literally be an entire month before Rebecca went missing. She said that missed call came in at 8:43 p.m. and that the last text message was Sunday, November, and that the last text message and the last phone call came from Courtney Bartholomew, Sunday, November 2nd. So Kimberly said that Rebecca uses her phone daily, often, regularly, and she didn't see any communications Monday, November 3rd. And Kimberly said that she suspects that the phone records on Rebecca's phone November 3rd had been deleted. And Kimberly added in that Rebecca regularly deletes communication records from her cell phone. Now, keep in mind, Courtney would eventually tell the police that Rebecca deletes information off her cell phone, then said Rebecca had two cell phones. And then Courtney said Rebecca had three cell phones. So it never stops with these people. Rebecca was stabbed in her back infinitely. Infinitely. And it just goes to show that everybody related to you is not family. These are the people that she should have been the safest around. So Kimberly plays another voice message from Courtney. And on the voice message, Courtney is saying, okay, when Randy passed away, I was told that your sister had something to do with it. That would give Randy's family a murder revenge thing because she was involved when it came to Randy. Who the heck is Randy? Who the heck is Randy? And why would they wait until Rebecca is 38 weeks pregnant to take revenge on an innocent baby? And then this is suggesting by Courtney that Rebecca had something to do with Randy, whoever he is, with his death. And so the voice message, Courtney says, so Stephen Billet is connected to Randy's family, so I would definitely be looking at them. And the detective asks Kimberly, do you trust Courtney? And Kimberly said, not really. This probable cause affidavit of Courtney's is 18 pages long for a reason. So now we move to December 6th. Rebecca has not been found. She hasn't been seen for, 3 days. And Detective Piskor, he gets a search warrant. He's going to cover his bases for Rebecca's Blue View 4 cell phone. And Saturday, November 8th, All County Search and Rescue and Christian Aid Ministries search, 36 people comprising 5 teams went out to look for Rebecca. But we know that it was, two citizens who found Rebecca. Check out my live with RC, and that'll catch you up. So November 15th is when Courtney's sister, Candace Freeman, gets in touch with Deputy Jacob Capone and says that Courtney texted her October 28th, telling her about this premature baby that she had given birth to. And that, and by on November 4th, Candace asked about the baby, and it's the baby coming home from NICU. And it's November 4th that Courtney says that she watched her baby, who she said she named Ashton, pass away right in front of her eyes. And, it really makes me wonder, because there is no baby Ashton. And it really makes me wonder if baby Park was really born stillborn, the way that Courtney and Brad claimed that he was born stillborn. Could baby Park have been the baby on November 4th that Courtney watched die right in front of her eyes? So that's the question that I have. Not a long live, but I wanted to go through Kimberly's lies. Could it be that the check that supposedly, remember, there's the text message of a check that is not real, and from Courtney to both Kimberly, one to Kimberly, one to Rebecca. Courtney says, well, I was going to give Rebecca money for the baby, and I was going to give Kimberly money so Kimberly didn't get jealous. And it really makes me wonder if Kimmy thought that Courtney really did inherit some money from her biological maternal grandmother. Courtney says, my mom left me money when she died that I could do anything that I wanted to do. That's what I'm wondering, Kindness. And I don't think that the coroner can prove that the baby was born alive. And I think that is the only reason Courtney and Brad are not charged with the murder of baby Park. But either way it goes, I think that what they did caused baby Park's death. I mean, Courtney had just been to the hospital, dilated 1 centimeter. And so, and then there's this thing where I heard that Courtney and Brad had said they were going to, try and set Kimmy up for Rebecca's murder. So everybody's pointing the finger at everybody. And Courtney is swearing that she gave Rebecca an envelope with $2,000 cash in it, and that they discussed throwing Rebecca a baby shower. Can y'all see Courtney throwing anybody a baby shower? And that Rebecca said she didn't want a baby shower because she was afraid that that CPS would take her baby, Child Protective Services. I don't even know that that conversation ever happened. According to what I read, Rebecca and Kimberly said that Courtney gave them envelopes that supposedly had money in it, and that when they opened the envelopes, there was nothing in it. So it looks to me like anybody who had a black sedan that Courtney and at one time Kimberly were willing to throw under the bus. Courtney, talked about Rebecca knowing somebody who had a Chrysler 300 that resembled the car that Rebecca supposedly got into. So why is Kimberly lying? Why is Kimberly lying? Did she triangulate Rebecca's phone and tell Courtney first that she found that phone because she wanted a one up on Courtney? Was Kimberly jealous of Rebecca? And even though she's charged with misleading the investigation, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, when you mislead the police in the investigation of something as serious as this, I feel like you're an accomplice after the fact. Now, the way the law is written, she's not an accomplice after the fact, but I feel like that she's an accomplice after the fact. And so let me know, guys, in the comments, if you think that this whole thing about Courtney and Brad hitting Rebecca in the head, causing Rebecca to have a seizure, if that actually happened. Do you think that Kimberly was having an affair, an ongoing affair with Rich Fowler? Is Rich Fowler a player, or is he just a man with a connection? I do know that Rebecca Park was betrayed over and over and over. I would have taken that cell phone straight to the police. I probably would not have touched it. I would have gotten in touch with the police and said, I just triangulated this cell phone, and it's on this, it's on this two track. But what do you guys think life is like for Kimberly, who's at home on house arrest with Rebecca Park and her family? How is that family looking at Kimberly? Surely they're demanding answers from her. Surely they're demanding answers with her. And so, I would think that there's probably going to be more evidence that comes out. I think there's going to be more evidence that comes out because I think that Kimberly is at home. She's talking to family. If she has any friends, she's talking to friends. And there's no telling what she's saying. And Brad described his relationship with Courtney, with Rebecca. He described Rebecca and Courtney's relationship, excuse me, as rocky. Yeah, Rebecca, is dealing with a biological mom who didn't raise her, who says that she slept with her fiance, Rich Fowler. I don't know when Courtney came up with the story that she got pregnant with Rich, because Courtney was yelling at Kimberly to not tell people that her tubes were tied. I mean, and a woman who has had a tubal ligation, if they're not burnt at the ends or cut, a woman who's had a tubal ligation can get pregnant, but there's the pregnancy would not be viable. It would be a tubal pregnancy. I don't know the exact medical term for it. So that's the question. Why lie? What did Kimberly know before Rebecca came up missing? Anything? Did she have any clue what Courtney was plotting? Or did she just decide to lie after Rebecca came up missing? Was it for this mysterious money that I don't believe existed that Courtney was offering her? Or do you guys think that Rich Fowler was encouraging Kimberly to mislead investigators? Now, Rich lawyered up, and I'm not upset at anybody who lawyers up. Police do make mistakes. They're like a hammer who only see a nail. But I really, really don't think that Rich Fowler is involved in this murder. Now, Brad and Courtney both told detectives that Rich and Rebecca had been arguing that day, that he wanted one of his vehicles fixed and that he wanted Rebecca to help him. Now, whether they were arguing or not, I don't know. But Rebecca's 38 weeks pregnant. I don't know how much you can work at 38 weeks pregnant. Maybe I'm a wuss. because I wasn't putting in much work, 2 weeks from my due date. Rebecca had already dilated 1 centimeter. So even if they had had a tiff, I can't see why Rich Fowler. I haven't heard of any reason why Rich Fowler would go this far as to murder her and then try and remove he and Rebecca's unborn baby from her womb. So Brad Bartholomew, he said that his cell phone was off, that Courtney had it, blah, blah, blah. No, the police got a search warrant for his phone. His phone was active in the area of their home. And as we all know, around November 3rd, and as we all know, Rebecca's phone was found less than 200 yards from Courtney and Brad's home. I didn't hear anything about that, kindness. Did Courtney bring up Kim being on the dark web? It's not easy to get on the dark web. According to Courtney, Rebecca has 3 cell phones and she's on the dark web and she participated in somebody named Randy's death. The lies, the lies, the lies. Kimmy could have told a bunch of lies just for attention. I mean, some people will insert themselves into a murder investigation for attention. And a woman that pregnant coming up missing and around the holidays, oh, it just reminds me of Lacey Peterson. It reminds me a little bit of Lacey Peterson. But yeah, I do. And let me know too, because I'm with kindness. I really wonder if Baby Park was born alive. And Courtney did actually watch him die. So that's it. That's the first page of her. That's the first page of Kimberly's Kimberly's probable cause affidavit. I don't know how much time she's facing, but I know Rich is facing pretty much a life sentence for 2 counts of trafficking meth. And I don't know if police suspected him of this activity before Rebecca came up missing and he was just allowed to willy nilly, traffic this really dangerous drug. Or, if by going through cell phones and talking to people, thanks, Ride Too Fast, if they found out what Rich was up to. But if Rich Fowler, if he loved Rebecca and he wanted his unborn child, he's mourning this holiday season, just like Rebecca's other children are mourning, just like Stephanie Park is mourning. So that's my big question. Why is Kimmy lying? It's either for attention, or maybe she thought Courtney could pay her off. Maybe she thought that Courtney had $1,800 or $2,000 to give her. But whatever the reason, I blame Courtney for all of this. No matter how young Rebecca and Kimberly was when Stephanie Park adopted them, that kind of situation creates abandonment issues. Could Kimberly have been trying to just please her biological mother just to get some attention from her? Because I believe that Courtney gave Rebecca a lot of attention because Rebecca was pregnant and Courtney was after the baby. I believe Courtney is guilty as charged. Any woman that will drain cellulite, her own cellulite with scalpels, listen, that's a woman to fear. Sounds like Brad feared Courtney. And, RC brought up something. RC thinks that maybe Kimberly feared Courtney. And if you could do this to your own flesh and blood, to your own child, yeah, Courtney is beyond words. I don't think that she's in the county jail, scared for her safety. I think other people are afraid. I think people are afraid of Courtney. And so, yeah, it's possible that Kimmy was jealous. It's possible she wanted attention. And if she was indeed having an affair with her sister's man, that is thoughtish behavior. I'm not going to call her a thought, but that is thoughtish behavior. And that's indicative of a woman not loving herself, which I'm still going to, by the way, blame on Courtney. And I asked the kids years ago, what does thought mean? And they said it means that hoe over there. So I hate to be vulgar, but it is what it is. Having an affair with your sister's boyfriend, even having sex with your sister's ex-boyfriend is gross to me. And now their biological mother is saying she slept with him too. Richard Rich Fowler has some explaining to do. But if he didn't feel like a player, if all this is true, I'm sure that he does. So maybe in Boone, there just aren't a lot of single available men. Well, he wasn't married, but he wasn't single, in my opinion. So yeah, I tried to put at least some of Kimberly's lies in one live stream. And look out if you guys are interested in the Luigi Mangione case. Look out for a live stream in a few days on Luigi Mangione. So thanks for joining me. And maybe I'll actually add in, maybe I'll actually add in an intro. You know, it's really not kindness. It is really not that abnormal for people who want to mislead investigators. You know, kindness, RC. To throw out a bunch of names to confuse everything. And the police are running around, like a chicken with their heads cut off. In this particular case, I think that Michigan police did a really good job in this particular case. Police are human. They mess up too. But they did mess up this time. I think they got the right people. I need some explanations as to why Kimmy, because I'm not buying the Rich Fowler story. I'm not buying the Rich Fowler story that he told her to mislead investigators. So, thank everybody for stopping by and have a very, very, very safe new year. And I'll talk to you guys later.